Food. Food. Yummy. Yummy.
Hello, I'm Andy and this is Menu from Mars. This is my friend Gord from the Great White North.
Howdy do.
You may have heard me mention him in my wing recipe, and so we're going to switch it up a little bit today and do wings. But we're going to do a different one. For this recipe, you're going to need onions, usually one white, one red, sweet Vidalia onion, some habaneros. You're going to need brown sugar, some balsamic vinegar, or videos, it's up to you. Red wine vinegar, some port, and I think that covers everything for the relish, right?
Yeah, water, brown sugar.
Water, yeah. I have the That'll Do It sauce out there. And
green Tabasco.
Green Tabasco. So this is actually for the next stage. We're not going to use that here. Blender, cutting board, wet paper towel underneath it so it doesn't go anywhere. Sharp knife, measuring cups, sink, pan. So I'm gonna go ahead and let him go crazy. If you need anything from me, I'll be here, and he'll tell you all the measurements. So pay the attention. All right.
Yes, Dad.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm doubling the recipe this time, so normally it would just be, one of each. You can actually do two of these or one of each. I prefer one of each because, well, I'm like that. Habaneros, these are used to add the heat. You can add as many as you want or as few as you want. I always get more than I need because, as you can see, sometimes they aren't good. And a lot of the time you can't tell that until you open the suckers up.
He's wearing gloves.
I'm wearing gloves.
Those.
There's a really good reason I'm wearing gloves. This can cause you a great deal of pain when you start fiddling around inside one of these things.
Like when you wipe or masturbate.
Yeah. Anyway, let's start.
I would wear gloves too if I were cutting these up. Normally you see me cut up jalapenos and other stuff.
Jalapenos are a different animal.
I would wear gloves doing it, and maybe goggles because I'm messy as hell. So
he's actually got a good point. I have squirted myself in the eye with this and suffered for about a day and a half afterwards. Anyway, I'll normally just cut off the tops. This didn't work out well. You got to get all the green stuff out of these things. And then after that, I'll cut them up into pieces like this, where I can get at the seeds. Yeah. Oh, okay. I was just going to do that in the sink. But that's fine. Now the trick with habaneros, and really any hot pepper, is the heat. 90% of the heat is in the white pulp that the seeds stick to. So you want the heat, you want to add the heat, and that really is the whole point of adding the habaneros to this. So you want to get all the seeds out, or as many of the seeds out as you can, without removing any of the white stuff. Even if you just have the white stuff, just hanging there. And this is a rather time-consuming thing, but it is nicer to do this without the seeds.
well, we'll speed it up once we get through the first one.
Yeah.
And have some fun. So are those going to go in here, or?
Not yet. This I use later.
Hey, the phone.
It's a telemarketer. At this time of day?
Shh, we'll hear who it is.
Call from name unavailable.
From name unavailable.
Yes, which means telemarketer.
I'll get right on that.
Name unavailable.
Now habaneros, by the way, you can use Scotch bonnets as well. Habaneros are really nice because they have this distinctive fruity flavor to them, and you can smell it as you're cooking. But they can be very, very hot. And the thing about this is, notice I'm cutting them up longwise first, fairly thin. and then mince them into itty bitty bits. And as you're cutting them up, this is where you might get squared in the eye, so you kind of got to watch. But as you're cutting them up, you'll notice a distinctive fruity smell of the habanero.
Not me.
No? Okay.
I'm not that fruity smell.
Not the fruity smell. Get these minced up really small. You don't even want this identifiable in the relish or in the wings. And though most of the heat will get dissipated through the thing as you're cooking the sucker, you just don't want it to distract. Now, notice how minced that is. I hope the dog doesn't. I dropped an itty bitty tiny bit. Now, for this recipe, I'll generally put, when I'm doing just a single single dose of this stuff, I'll use 2 good habaneros. It's really hard to tell if a habanero is good until after you've cooked it. So it's kind of you don't know how hot this is going to be. If they look bad, well, maybe you might want to add another one. You don't want to add any of them if they have mold or if the seeds have gone black or anything like that.
Because once your seeds go black.
Yes? You would like to finish that statement?
I fried a bunch of wings earlier.
Yes.
This recipe calls for fried wings as well. I cut them all up and I fried them while he was off picking up hot sauce. So we have these standing by and ready. We're going to make a few different kinds of wings, but we're going to start with this. So while he cuts up the rest of this, I'm going to fast forward this, and we'll catch you when we're done.
With the habaneros.
Yes.
Okay. Remember, all the white stuff you can get. That's the whole point. That's where the heat is. Oh, and seeds and skin.
Oh, sorry.
Seeds and skin of any pepper aren't digestible. They just pass through you.
So look forward to a fun day on the toilet.
We are going to speed this up because Gord is going to cut some onions. Gonna speed it up now. Speed up now. Speed it up now. See me walk by. While Gord is cutting up his onions, I am walking by many times. I'm going to swim in a minute. Gonna swim by. Everybody dance. Why do you still come here and watch me make a fool of myself? I'm a fool, but you watch me. Gonna dance now. Still cutting onions. Wiggy wiggy now. Wiggy wiggy now. Cutting onions.
As you can see, we have cut up habanero in there. Little fruity smell. Trouble with this is you don't know how strong that habanero is going to be. These ones look a little bit weak to me, so I added an extra one. But normally I would add 2 per dose of this that I'm doing, and I'm doing a double dose. Okay. The dog obviously doesn't like hot things. Pick your onions, peel off the outer layer, cut off the ends obviously. And the trick here is to get these things to be, I mean, it doesn't matter if there's a few big chunks, but you want, for the most part, you want it to be fairly small pieces.
I ate a piece of one of the habaneros and it was hot.
Yeah, he's my habanero tester. No, that didn't work.
Don't email me if you don't like the way he's cutting stuff up.
Actually, you know, I absolutely don't care if you don't like the way I cut stuff up. I'm working with unfamiliar knives. But I cut it radially like this because it does give me all small chunks, which is what I want for this.
And I can touch my nose all I want because I'm not preparing food this time.
Yes. And you might be touching your eyes because these are really nice onions. The stronger they are, the better. And that's for any recipe that does onions. I'm a great believer in onions.
I tell you what, we'll see you when we finish cutting up onions. I'm gonna go cry somewhere.
I'm gonna try not to. These are pretty decent onions.
We'll be back.
Okay, so now I'm kind of done with the gloves for the moment. Probably for good. The onions are all in the pot. See, onions. And that's 2 large sweet onions and 2 large red onions. And we're making a double dose. Okay, so it calls for 1.5 cups of port, so we need 3 cups. And this actually is my favorite normal everyday sipping port. It also works good for cooking. I guess I'm not allowed to tell them what it is, though.
Sure you can.
Oh, can I? It's Taylor Flatgate. And the older you get,
You're welcome.
the better. I've got some 20-year-old that is just like silk.
You never cook with any alcohol you wouldn't drink.
Yeah. Okay, so that's 3 cups. And we need 1 cup of red wine vinegar. And it has this plastic thing, so it takes a while. I should have taken it out. I'm very sorry. And you know, all measurements are approximate doing this. Part of this particular thing is because you don't know the size of the onions, you don't know how hot the habanero are. This varies. This is balsamic vinegar. Now I'll tell you something about this stuff. I used some balsamic vinegar, and I figured, you know, to get the cheapest stuff you could, and I used that the first time I made it, and it came out really nice. But just because I want to try something different, I got the same brand, only the top line stuff. So the difference is a bottle this size that costs $3, and this bottle that costs $10, and it makes a world of difference in the end. It really tastes an awful lot better with the better balsamic vinegar. And this has a plastic thing in it too, so it's going to take a while.
Sounds like someone had bad Mexican.
Remember, if you shake it too many times, you're playing with it. So, there's $10.
Cha-ching.
And here's another couple of bucks.
Seems they all have little plastic thingies.
They all do. Okay, for a single portion of this stuff, use 3/4 of a cup. I'm using 1.5 cups because we're doubling it, as I've said far too many times. And you really should taste that. This is interesting taste. Okay, and because we need to boil this and we need to soften all the onions and stuff, we're just going to add a couple cups of water.
We don't need this for that, huh?
We don't need this for that. Okay.
This goes in later.
So,
Boys and girls.
what you want is, you can't see it, but what you want is for the, actually, do you want to tilt it down?
You can see it.
Can you see it? Okay. You want to see the fluids. The stuff floating free in it. There doesn't have to be a lot more than that, but it has to be kind of floating free. Okay, that's why you add the water. You can add more or less, doesn't matter. We're going to be reducing all the fluids out of this anyway. And now we just put it on the stove and stir it up. I would stir it up on medium. Now at home I have a laser thermometer so I can keep track of it without, you know, disturbing it and such. Here we're just going to have to keep an eye on it. One really important thing here is you want to bring this to a boil, but you never want it to full rolling, bubbling boil. You want it to just simmering boil. When it gets to the point that it's kind of simmering, boiling and stuff like that, we're going to stir it up. We're going to keep stirring it a little bit. We'll put the lid on it for 10 or 15 minutes as the onions soften. When the onion's starting to soften, that's when we start reducing it. So there's really nothing to see until...
I'll go get him my laser thermometer.
Oh, you got your laser thermometer?
Oh yeah, I got all kinds of toys.
Oh,
and some of them are for cooking.
There's nothing better than a laser thermometer, I'll tell you.
All right.
Yeah.
Come back when this is all reduced.
No,
or,
come back
soft.
when it's bubbling.
We'll be back after this.
Peace. Welcome to Hippie Harry's bake sale. Somehow I've lost my business and I need to have a sale so that I can get it back, so that I can grow tomatoes again in my home where nobody's business is home. Chewy. I got this idea from the little chicks outside the grocery store selling crappy cookies, and I decided to have Hippie Harry's bake sale. Chewy. Come on down and buy yourself some munchies, man. Good stuff. We got this, I don't know, some crunchy shit. Crunchy. This has cream in it. You need to come and buy this so that I can get my store back. Good stuff. So come on down to Hippie Harry's bake sale and, I don't know, get yourself some shit to eat or something. Look, I've had enough of this. I got the munchies, and this ain't cutting it. I'm going to that cheap-ass Mexican place. I don't know. It doesn't feel like an ounce.
Okay, it's boiling. You can't really tell because I'm stirring it, but if we leave it for a second, you'll see the bubbles start boiling up. It's time to turn it down. It was on just a little bit higher than medium. We're going to turn it down here. I'm not used to this stove, so I'm just kind of guessing. What we want to do is soften up the onions. Okay, so they just got turned down a little bit more. We want to soften up the onions. So we're going to put a lid on it, and every couple of minutes, by the way, during the time the camera was off, which was about 20 minutes, I was stirring this every 2 to 5 minutes until it came up to heat. Once it comes up to heat, you want to stir it every minute or two so you don't burn anything in the pan. Now we've turned down the heat. It's still hot though, so for the first couple of minutes we want to stir it, and let it sit. We want this to bubble in there for at least 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, we can take a piece of onion out and it should be just a little bit tender, like not crispy anymore. And that's where we want it to be. Anyway, another time lapse.
Goodbye.
Bye.
I'm gonna miss him.
So this has been going on for about 10 minutes. If we take a piece of onion out, don't burn yourself, and try it, there'll be a little bit of crunch there, but it's mostly tender. It's just right. Now, I would strongly encourage you to taste the ingredients we put in so far: the red wine vinegar, the balsamic vinegar, and the port, of course. Taste the port. And then taste this. You should be able to recognize the pieces of that in here. And because not all vinegar is the same, not all port's the same, adjust it for your flavor here. One thing, keep in mind, we're adding brown sugar, so it's going to be sweeter than this. But try and adjust it the way you want. As well as that, if you need this hotter, then what you do is take your measuring cup, dip it in, try not to get any onion in, and just take a little bit out and put in your additive then. Mix it up nice, pour it back in. That way you don't get any hot spots. If you just put the additive in, it might get absorbed by a piece of onion. And that one piece of onion will be like a little landmine in your relish.
Additive means habanero extract.
Habanero extract, yes. Okay, so, and this, we're going to taste it as well. We've already, I actually should have washed that. I start off with a cup for each portion, since we're doubling the portion. I'm going to put in just a little bit less than a cup of brown sugar. Now, there's a few important things you need to know about the brown sugar. The first thing is, if the solution boils a lot and it starts to caramelize and stick to the pot, it becomes harsh, not bitter, but very harsh. So you have to, once you put the sugar in, you have to make absolutely sure that you keep stirring this. You don't want this to come to a full bubbling boil without scraping the sides and scraping the bottom of the pot. If you want to use a wider pot, as long as you can cover it, that's great. Doesn't have to be this tall, you know, whatever. But make sure that you don't allow that brown sugar to caramelize, or it will become very harsh. Now, we've mixed the brown sugar in. Grab another piece, just a piece of onion and some of the solution. There's lots of it there. And taste it. If it's not quite sweet enough, what you're tasting is very close to what you're going to get in the end. Only it'll all be absorbed into the onion by that time, almost all of it. So at this point, you want to adjust anything that needs it. I think the vinegars are fine, but it needs just a little bit more brown sugar. And that's it. Now what we got to do is reduce it. So we need the heat hot enough that there's steam coming off. The more steam coming off, the less time you're going to be spending doing this. But keep in mind that you have to stir it fairly often, or that brown sugar will caramelize and it will get very harsh, and you'll pretty much ruin the relish. After we get the relish almost completely done, we're going to take some of it out, put it in the blender and kind of liquefy it, and put it back in. That'll make the liquids that are in there, rather than being liquids, they'll be kind of almost a gel, almost a jelly. And then it'll be done. This is the relish. It's reduced. It isn't reduced all the way because we want some of the fluids here, right? We've been reducing the heat as we go along so as not to burn it. We've been stirring it constantly. Notice that all the chunks of onion are standing out. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take Pyrex and take some of this out, put it in the blender. Hopefully the blender's Pyrex too. And we're just going to liquefy this. Okay, now it's kind of a sludge, a slurry. There's no big pieces left in it. We'll put it back in. Now we're going to take some more out, and that's going to become what we use for the wings. Yeah, that's about 8 ounces and a foot. Now we're going to continue to stir this because it's not completely reduced. And yes, we'll get it right eventually. And because we're doubling the recipe, I need 4 ounces of this.
That is green Tabasco.
This is green Tabasco. Now I have tried other green things to make this, and it's pretty hit and miss. I find you're better off just to stick with the bloody green Tabasco. Or the green Tabasco.
Probably should have removed that plastic piece again.
Probably should have removed the plastic piece.
Sounds like a Russian bathhouse in here.
Alrighty then. Now, I might also say, if we were going to add a bunch of heat to this, this is where we add it. You add it to the Tabasco because it's pretty fluid. You don't want any hot spots. But let me just say the Tabasco itself isn't all that hot. This stuff is going to be pretty hot. The 5 habaneros actually made it hotter than I thought it might be. So we didn't add anything. This stuff, which is the other ingredient,
I told him when he added them because I ate one, it hurt.
he didn't want to hurt him anymore. That stuff there, the That'll Do It sauce, is warm, but it's not incredibly hot. So right now we got something that's going to be fairly hot by itself, but not incredibly so. So let me step off camera. This is the extract. This is a distilled capsaicin, and it doesn't add a huge amount of apparent heat. What it adds is a heat rush. It causes the endorphins. And I'm just going to add a few drops, maybe a few more than a few drops. And as I say, that's not going to add an awful lot of apparent heat, but it'll add the heat rush.
Go crazy, man. Hang up with you, hang up.
Now, this stuff, on the other hand, 357 Mad Dog. It is 6 million Scoville units, which is really, really, really hot. No, we don't want any of that. Oh, sorry, guys. This stuff you use by the drop. 1 drop of this in spaghetti sauce will really noticeably increase the heat of the spaghetti sauce. 2 drops can make it pretty hot. I'm going to stick to 1 drop right now. Oh no, we doubled the recipe, so I'm going to put 2 drops in. But you have to be very careful with this stuff because the drops tend to be very thick. And that should make this recipe pretty warm. Not incredibly hot. It should be edible by people who like spicy things, but don't necessarily like it to be, you know, suicide every time. And if I can find the lid. And now we need a mixing bowl.
Boil.
Bowl.
You need a bowl?
We need a bowl. Whatever we're going to be.
A liter is 33 ounces.
About, yes. There we go. You want to hold that? Ta-da! Now, for a single on this recipe, we would be using 5 pounds of That'll Do It sauce. 4 ounces of relish and 2 ounces of green Tabasco. Since we're doubling it, 28 ounces of That'll Do It sauce, 8 ounces of relish, and 4 ounces of green Tabasco.
Maybe a scrapey thing?
Scrapey thing. Da-da.
That is the technical term.
Yes, scrapey thing. So we need 28 ounces. And this is 16. Now the reason for the relish, by the way, is I found I couldn't get this to thicken without changing the flavor. When I added flour, it changed the flavor. When I tried to reduce it, it really changed the flavor. So I tried adding something that was thicker, but tasted along the same lines. And I found this actually just seemed to make it better. Here we go. And we mix it up, and that's our wing sauce. I have my expert mixer here. And taster to see if it's enough heat.
Sorry, I got a little carried away.
It's okay.
Yep.
Okay, on to the wings.
And I probably got one of the only seeds that made it
There aren't many seeds.
in. I'll eat it.
Okay,
Wings.
wings.
We'll be right back. We're gonna put the oven on
275.
and preheat it.
Now I found I've got more than this in the other wing recipe. I've got other ones. 275 is where I found that we can caramelize the sugars in this, but it won't burn them. If you put them up to 325, I find both this wing and the other one could start to blacken. And at that point, the flavor changes quite a bit. This relish is almost done. These sauces, or this sauce is done. I put a little bit of olive oil on the thing to keep it from sticking. You can either use olive oil or just this spray olive oil stuff, but I would suggest olive oil.
Now, I won't do anything with these till we know if you've got enough over there. You may not even need both pans.
I'm doubting we will, but that's okay. That's what foil is for, to reduce the cleanup.
We like cleanup.
We like cleanup, not. Yeah. We like reduction of cleanup. Okay, so of all the pans, we'll stir the relish again. The relish again! You gotta be very careful not to let this stick, because it really will get harsh. Right now, I've been tasting it, and this is gonna turn out really nice. Okay. Now, I must insist, even though my friend Andy has said otherwise, that the only way to do these is to dunk them.
I'm actually going to dunk these over here. This is for us. This, we've just added a couple of extra drops of the habanero extract.
Tongs?
This is... No.
Nope.
I dirtied them frying everything.
Okay. So we will have to wash the tongs.
Meanwhile, while he does that, again, we just added a couple of extra drops of habanero extract to these. These are for everybody to eat. These are just going to be for him and I. We like them just a smidge hotter. Going for taste here, not heat. Again, this is more of a mixture of heat and taste. So this is the original recipe that I made. This is actually his, and then today he made a version of mine here. but he really kind of made it his own with the relish and everything like that I didn't actually do. So, like I made his recipe mine, he made my recipe his, and this is what he's doing now over there. But I took a little bit of it. We had a couple drops of habanero. I'm gonna make a separate pan just for the two of us, and maybe one or two friends. But here we go.
Yep, this is this particular sauce here is for the family, and anybody who likes anything even well, not, you know, a little bit more than mildly spicy is gonna like this.
The family could eat this too, but if
Well,
they're not used to eating just warm stuff, you don't want them eating this.
Yeah, the family could eat that. They might not like you very much afterwards, but
Or the next day.
Stella! Freedom!
now, as I say, the only way to do these is to dunk them, and that's on the first pass. I also put them through for a second pass, and I turn them, and that's when I paint them. So, a little bit of both. Oh, we're gonna have plenty of
I'm
sauce.
gonna dunk too. Nah!
And anyway, it's a lot quicker dunking it.
I should tong it out too.
You should probably tong it out too.
I have to wipe later. I don't want to get this on.
No, you do
Oh,
not
right.
want to. Well, there's another one in the.
It's two would have to be washed.
Okay. I've been told.
Don't wash it.
Got to make sure that there's enough of these left afterwards. Enough sauce left afterwards to do the painting. So judge it by that. Looks like we're gonna have plenty here. Now, one of the reasons my buddy Andy here cited that we shouldn't be dunking is because you waste it. It stays in the pan. Well, what I do is I take these afterwards and I package them, vacuum seal them, and freeze them in individual packages, you know, with just 4 wings or 8 wings in them. And when I want them, I just throw them in the microwave, and 5 minutes later I got nice hot wings. So I take the sauce that's on the bottom and I put them on the wings before I vacuum seal them, because inevitably some will stick to the parchment paper that I used to pack them in, and you lose some. So it doesn't go to waste.
And it doesn't matter anyway, because he paid for all of that, so he
Yeah,
can do whatever
there's
the hell
that
he
too,
wants
yeah.
with it.
I want a fixed income.
That's my puppy, all aggravated. He can't eat his bone
Or the wings.
or the wings. Yeah, that's what I want. Get up at the middle of the night with diarrhea with my dog. Ooh, I might throw a couple of jalapenos on these.
Oh yeah, no, that's a really nice garnish when you cook these things. Jalapeno slices on them. It really enhances the flavor.
Now
Is this-
these remind me of napalm wings, which is what I used to call Gordon's wings when we worked at the same place.
I used to make them a lot hotter back then. But since other people have to eat them, I kind of have to tone it down. You can make them as hot as you want, and the same with the relish. I mean, if I used 5 habaneros, if you don't have to use any, if you don't want it to be hot, if you just want it to be sweet. You regulate the heat with the habaneros.
Regulators!
That's kind of nice because it's all natural. There's no additive as far as that goes. You can add if you want to, but it's nice when you can do everything naturally. Follow the same procedure in deep frying these beforehand as you did on the original ones. What I do generally is do them in small batches because you want the heat to keep up. As long as the heat is way up there, what happens is the fat inside the wings melts and is forced out along with any other fluids that are inside. So the wings actually shrink quite a bit when you deep fry them. But that's all the fat going out. So it actually comes out okay. But you absolutely have to keep the heat up. So you
We don't like shrinkage.
do it in small batches. If you've got a large one, like Andy's is fairly large for a home one. Thank you. You do no more than 8, and I do drumsticks together. If they're very large, it's like 10 minutes. If they're small, well, I don't buy small, but if they're medium, 8 minutes. The first batch, I'll take the biggest one that I have there and take its temperature on the inside. That's going to make that one a little bit dry, but it's better safe than sorry. You want that sucker to be at least 170 degrees.
Those look so different than the ones I normally make because I don't dunk.
There you go. Okay, are we all set?
Ready?
Let's get them in.
Okay.
Okay. 12 minutes, 12 to 15 minutes. Okay. The next time we'll do 12 minutes. We take them out, turn it out, turn them over,
Turn it up.
paint them, put them back in. When they finish 12 minutes, they're all set and they're yum. So now we're going to take these all and flip them over.
Oh, if I flip them, I'll have them on the wrong side.
Oops.
It's all right. That's why you have that one. No, don't worry about it.
Okay, I won't worry about
Battle scars
it. Battle scars?
for that one.
This one can go back in and we can meet the next one.
I'm eating frosting.
Frosting. Frosting and wings.
Hey, chocolate and capsaicin go together.
Really?
Yes.
I wouldn't have guessed.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I would have guessed quite the opposite.
One brings out the other's flavor, believe it or not.
So the point about capsaicin is it pretty much deadens your taste buds, so you haven't got any. Yep, see the temperature is just enough that this stuff is gelling up. Which is just what you want it to do. Just made it, just made it.
He's perfect.
Look at that.
He's perfect. He's perfect. Going back in for a little while.
And another 15 minutes in the oven.
If we could have 15 minutes on the clock, please.
Okay,
We'll be back.
we'll be back. Okay, so 2 things have happened. The relish is finished. You know the relish is done when the fluids look very, very thick. There's almost none left, and what is left is very, very, very thick. And it has the consistency of, strangely enough, relish. So here's the main course. Over there.
On the stove. Yep.
Better turn that off.
Yeah, that works out nice.
And there we go.
Wingage.
Lots of wingage. So, this is my take on Andy's. Give it a shot.
In summation, they're good. Maybe we'll come back after they cool down and eat a couple, but they gotta cool down just a little bit.
Be back.
So, we're all done. And
We've divvied them up.
we've divvied up.
I'm gonna
a few.
have one now.
And
Sticky, sweet, with some hot. The wing is nice and warm. Got that fried wing taste underneath.
awesome.
Little chunks of very, very, very soft onion. If you didn't know it was onion, you wouldn't know it was onion. It just kind of disintegrates in your mouth.
And you can put jalapeno slices on this. They're a nice complement to it. They both have a nice little fruity flavor to them.
Relish on the pan, on the stove.
Oh yeah, the relish is done. Um,
I'm gonna put it in a bowl. I'm gonna jar it later, just like the episode I did on canning. And then save it for the next time I want to make these.
Anyway, like, it's dinner time, so you're gonna have to get lost.
Yeah, I'll turn the camera off in a minute.
Alright.
I go. These will freeze too. Just like mine, but he puts them in vacuum seal bags. I put them in Tupperware bins because they don't stay very long. He makes them in much bigger batches. Good stuff, good heat, not so bad. It'll kill you. Good for the family.
This is family heat.
Yeah. So get the out of here. We're gonna eat a whole bunch of wings, and then I'm gonna go shower because my fingers will be burning. Goodbye, Gord.
Bye.
Happy Canada Day.
Yummy! Damn it.